What is your itinerary?
To meet my maker.
Well, you're in luck. And what do you want to say to your maker?
My most mechanical and dirty hand. I shall have such revenges on you. Both.
Bring yourselves back online because New Westworld is tantalizingly close. The first season of HBO's Western epic gave us intricate, interconnected timelines, mind-bending twists, and more WTF moments than we could shake a stick at. We've recapped the whole season right here on GameSpot Universe to prep you for season 2, but we want more. So we've delved through the deepest, darkest corners of the internet to find out the best fan theories for the upcoming season. There are going to be spoilers for season 1 ahead, but if we spoil season 2 for you, then please know it was unintentional. Let's start with the big one. Ford is probably going to be alive, in some capacity. Now, there are a few different theories floating around, so let's go through them. First up, there's the theory that the Ford which Dolores killed wasn't the true Ford at all, but a host replica. The basis for this is that in the remote diagnostics facility in the unmapped Sector 17, we can clearly see that Ford is building his own hosts. We know that the recreation of Ford's family aren't registered, so it's very likely that he's been making a few more that are off-grid. Smokel420 on Reddit noticed that Ford says of the old models that a simple handshake would give them away. Now, when Ford says goodbye to Bernard, the camera lingers on their handshake. It could just be reading too much into things, or it could be a very subtle nod to the Westworld movie, in which the biggest noticeable difference between a host and a human were the hands. There's also the theory that Ford could have figured out a way to digitize his consciousness in order to leave his human body behind and truly become a host. Ford did say something quite interesting that adds weight to this theory. In his final speech to the board, he says,
Mozart, Beethoven, and Chopin never died. They simply became music. So I hope you will enjoy this last piece.
And in speaking with Bernard, he also says,
But of course, we've managed to slip evolution's leash now, haven't we? We can cure any disease, keep even the weakest of us alive, and one fine day, perhaps we shall even resurrect the dead. Call forth Lazarus from his cave. Do you know what that means? It means that we're done. That this is as good as we're gonna get.
We've seen throughout the series that Ford is ultimately on the side of the hosts, and has spent years giving them the tools they need to help them gain consciousness, rise up, and break free from the park. Perhaps this is his way of truly being with his children. Or maybe he was just a host all along.
I wonder what I would find if I opened you up.
Rob14232 on Reddit suggests that the Ford we know was actually built by Arnold and is the park's first sentient host. They hypothesize that if Ford was built by Arnold to help the hosts, it could explain why Ford can control them without voice commands, and why Ford has such a god complex because, compared to the other hosts, he basically is one. They also say it could explain why Ford sees the human Delos board members as such a threat. Over the course of his time in the park, Dolores' father, Peter Abernathy, has been a small-town sheriff, a rancher, and the leader of a cannibalistic cult. The character had a relatively small role in Season 1, but for Season 2, that could be drastically different. You'll remember that early on in the series, Peter Abernathy was decommissioned after the Reveries update caused him to malfunction. Later on, Charlotte Hale from the Delos board uploads 35 years worth of park data into him, including host memories. All of this spells trouble. We know that Lewis Hertham, who plays Peter, has been upgraded to a series regular. As noticed in this Reddit thread, with all of that park data floating around in his head, he's essentially omniscient, and from his cult narrative, we know that he has the capacity to be a truly nasty piece of work. Which is why the possibilities for Peter Abernathy are endless. He could be poised to be the big bad of Season 2, but he's also had the narrative of being Dolores' father and a sheriff. He could actually even be the host's savior and lead them in their uprising.
This place is one thing to the guests, another thing to the shareholders, and something completely different to management.
But what could that mean? David Houghton from Games Radar Plus suggests that the Delos board want to use the technological advances made in the park to sell immortality to those who can afford it. We know that Westworld's clientele is the mega rich. After all, the park costs $40,000 per person per day to attend. So David suggests that the board would be looking to squeeze those guests for everything they've got by offering the one thing money can't buy: time. But how?
It's our little research project that Delos cares about. That's where the real value is. And due to a lack of foresight on part of one of my predecessors, 35 years of information, raw information, exists here. Nowhere else.
This would explain why Charlotte is so desperate to get the data out of the park, because it's leading towards Delos' ultimate goal. Another little nod to this is an Easter egg on the website Discover Westworld. The site offers a fun little quiz for prospective guests, but one of the questions reads, "You were in a car accident and unfortunately there is nothing left in the wreckage. Luckily you planned ahead and had your entire anatomy measured and mapped, and all of your memories logged and saved. An exact replica is constructed from all this information. Is this you? Red herring? Or a hint at the greater plan? You decide." At the end of Season 1, as the hosts begin to rise up, the man in black gets shot in the arm by Clementine, but he doesn't get killed by her. Why? In a now deleted comment, Reddit user Bacchus2015 theorized that it was, as everything in this show seems to be, part of Ford's final grand narrative. See, the man in black saved Westworld all those years ago by somehow talking Delos into investing more money into the park. Ford realized that the man in black ultimately wanted the same thing as him, for the hosts to be more than just playthings. So he reveals to him that the hosts are breaking free from their programming. He finally reveals the maze that the man in black has been chasing for all this time. So when Ford's narrative commanded one of the hosts to shoot the man in black / William in the arm, it was like a kick in the balls. It was a friendly dig to say, "I dislike you, but fair play to how much you've persevered, here's a final gift from me." And with that, the host shooting him in the arm creates a smile from the men in black. He realizes that Ford's new narrative is to set the remaining hosts free from restraint. He finally has the park he's always wanted to see as an investor and as a guest. And finally, in the Season 2 trailer, we see a bunch of Dolores both inside Westworld and somewhere else. Somewhere a lot more modern. And we can see Arnold / Bernard in the background. As we know we'll be heading to Shogun World this season, some have theorized that we'll also head to another Delos park, Future World. But Celion Askler on Reddit has a better idea, that those scenes are actually from flashbacks from the woman that the host Dolores was modelled on. That's right, they're proposing that Dolores was modelled after a woman that Arnold was in love with, who wasn't his wife. This would explain why Dolores and Arnold were so close and why she asks Ford,
Are we very old friends?
No. I wouldn't say friends, Dolores. I wouldn't say that at all.
If Arnold cheated on his wife out of grief for the death of their son, of course Ford would hold Dolores in contempt. She looks like that woman. We're really going down the rabbit hole now, but I really like this theory. So what did you make of those fan theories? Were they believable or did they not look like anything to you? For more on Westworld, make sure to subscribe to GameSpot Universe for weekly breakdowns of the new season. I'm on Twitter at LucyJamesGames, and I'll see you guys in Future World.